You never know what someone's going through in their day to day.
I need to block this out. You lose yourself, but then you become the person you didn't want to become.
I truly believe in people. I think people can do a lot of good when they're offered the opportunity.
Back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Loft. Today I'm with my good friend Michael Tait. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hi, it's me.
It's
me. It's Tait. As Joe Fury would say, hey, it's me, Tait.
You excited?
Yes.
I'm very excited. A little nervous, but I feel like,
Let me switch these.
you know, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. I don't have to drunkenly approach Kev at Patty Wax on Sunday night and
Anymore?
say, please, I want to do it so bad.
Yeah, you're a Patty Wax OG. Show up every Sunday and
Listen, what I said reigns very true. I don't go to sleep any better than I do on a Sunday night after listening to Kev DJ. Seriously.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you are.
I literally, like, me, all of us, like, Maggie's will show up, we'll hang out, we'll have fun, and then I'm just like, that's the best way.
How long have you been doing that, actually?
DJing at Patty's or in general?
Yeah, at Patty's.
Patty's since I was 21, and then DJing since I was 16. So, and that's a great endorsement. So, anyone who wants to come out on Sundays.
All right, way to plug yourself in.
Hey, you did it now, but now. So, I'm excited to have you on. I know you have a crazy story. I know you have a lot you want to talk about, and that's what this podcast is all about. It's about, just opening up and having those conversations and
having your story be told.
Exactly, and having those conversations that people don't want to talk about or want to have, and you being willing and open to share it. I mean, as an opportunity I couldn't turn down, and we finally found some time to sit down and talk about it. So Paige told me you had a crazy story of, like, you almost died, something like that.
Yeah, I was in a bad car accident roughly 7 years ago. I
can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah, I know. Like, September will be 8. Yeah, so 7 years as of right now. But I had fractures in my neck, fractures in my lower back. I broke both my femurs, had both my femurs taken out, replaced with metal rods. I broke this ankle, my left ankle, which they never operated on because at that point I had about 6 blood transfusions.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in one sitting. And shout out to at the time, I know it as Frankfurt Tarsdale now. It's Jefferson, but everyone there was so good. Everyone worked around the clock. And my grandmom's a doctor, so, like, even my grandmom being, like, coming up from Jersey, and she was like, "I am thoroughly impressed. Like, they took care of you around the clock." Like, it was crazy. I also hit the scar on my forehead when I hit the windshield. I dragged my face down the windshield and tore my scalp back. And thank God for plastic surgeons, because
you look great.
So you had to get plastic surgery?
I did that on my forehead because it was this whole flap was just completely pulled back, and it was brutal.
Holy shit.
Now, did you, like, black out when that all happened?
Nope, I was awake the whole time. I just remember, after it had happened, being down where we were and having the medics. It was actually right near Fusion Gym on Grant, right before, like, Nifty's and the Wawa.
Didn't you guys go over the guardrail?
Yeah.
Yes.
And with that, I just remember seeing, like, the medics and everyone, like, come in, and at this point my legs were folded Indian style, and I could just feel my femurs puffing up by the moment, just puffing up, and I'm like, oh my God. So once they finally came down into the embankment, the little ditch or whatever, they were like, "Listen, bud, we're going to have to unfold your legs." And I was like, "Please, I can't. I don't want to. Please don't make me. Just pick me up, put me on the thing, get me into the ambulance." But I unfolded them, and it was by far the most painful experience I ever in my life.
I could only imagine.
So what was the reason why, what happened in the act?
Long story short, it was just an unfortunate situation. I happened to be in the back seat. I didn't have my seatbelt on. And yeah, it just all happened so fast. And once I did feel, though, once I was put into the ambulance, it was a huge sigh of relief. And my aunt, actually my godmother, she's a paramedic for the city of Philadelphia. And
was she there?
No, but crazy enough, the 2 medics that responded to the scene, when I got into the ambulance, I just remember rattling her number off, and I'm like, "Please tell me you know her. Please tell me." And he was like, "Yeah, I was with her last weekend. Like, we all hung out. We had, like, a thing." And I'm like, "All right, cool. Can you call her? Like, call her, please call her." So therefore, he called my mom or called my aunt, and who then got in touch with my mom, and it was just crazy.
So what was that recovery process like? How long, if still?
I was in the hospital for 32 days. I was at Frankfurt Tarsdale for like a week, and then they moved me down to the hospital. It's like Frankfurt. I knew it as. It's like right under the L, like right by the terminal, where I did like inpatient therapy, which all my therapists I still talk to this day. Like they're a group of amazing women.
Which is awesome because I've heard horror stories about like having like to get transferred to different hospitals. People like you're in a vulnerable state too, so you want to have that support and like know that you're in good hands too. So you really did get lucky.
Yeah, and especially after like it being an automobile accident, like you're saying, like the whole transfer process, like being put into another ambulance and being put into this to like go to this. It's just, it was a lot.
It's a lot.
But I came home October 8th of 2014, which was great. I had a lot of support at home, my family, everyone just kind of rallied around me, especially my mom. I mean, she's a trooper. I thank her many, many times over. I don't know what I would do without her. She is just a gem. And my grandparents who kind of carried us on their back the whole way, you know, helping out, and, you know, my dad being there to like keep me sane, and my siblings and everyone just really rallied together, and it was a good,
which is another thing to look back on too, and like switch your perception on it too, and just say like, thank God I have these people, because in those moments and stuff too, it's such a scary, lonely feeling, and you're so vulnerable. So to be able to look back and be able to thank you, shout out to Michael's family. You guys rule. That is amazing.
What do you think you learned from that, like ultimately?
I honestly learned to, because there's a lot of things I think I've learned, not even necessarily because of the accident, but in the last 8 years. I really, growing up, I was always very, very quiet and hung around my sister's friends, and, you know, that was my little safe net. And you know, never really went to a keg, never really did any of that. I kind of, you know, I waited to go to a bar till I was 21. I was very
reserved.
Yes, very reserved. You know, my sisters were the ones that would have fun, and, you know,
the crazy ones.
And don't get me wrong, like Chelsea and Corinne brought me along the way with all their fun in high school, and I'm very grateful for that. But I think I really branched out once I hit, like, you know, once I started working again after the accident, and that is when I think I kind of branched out. And honestly, for me, fully, I completely attribute who I am now because of Maggie's. I mean, when I started there, you know, and shout out to Timmy and Kelly Ryan, because they're doing their damn thing down on the waterfront, and you know, Charlene and Jay, and everyone's just, we're all one big family. It's a blast. It is literally like, I've never met people like that in my life. Like, and I promised her that I wouldn't be all gushy, but, you know, Jill Fury really, that's my person.
Yeah.
Do you think that they almost gave you a sense of self going there and being able to branch out back into like even working again? How was that even like going back? Like
it was
a while,
and I never worked in the restaurant industry. I never worked in the service industry, and I think the service industry is a huge part of my life. Everything that I've been taught about it, I've learned from Jill Fury and Christy Treats. I mean, the two of them really took me under their wing and showed me the ropes and taught me, like, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, this is how you handle people like this is what you know. And I was never that person. I never in a million years like could see myself waiting tables and going and crushing it and working a double and making all this money and doing good for the business too. I think that's a huge part of it. Like, I believe in Maggie's so much from the bottom of my heart, and it really is, like, I think a huge part of my 20s and the recovery in a sense mentally. It was Maggie's for me. I mean, it changed my life.
Yeah, so I guess I was going to ask, why do you love it so much? Besides the, like, is it just, it's like what the, what do you love about the service industry the most? Like, in terms of the Maggie's specifically.
The camaraderie. I think we all like, it's nothing for us to, especially during the summer, like work our asses off to the bone and then get done and just like
come to Patty's.
Also, like nothing beats working a hard shift with everyone and then just like
grabbing a drink
and
and
just
laughing,
like shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the best part. It's the best part of my day. It like actually makes me smile ear to ear.
Yeah,
but,
you come in with a squad. I noticed.
And we have fun.
That is a great feeling though. Like being able to even like bullshit about like something stupid or silly that happened, or like going into work hungover like one day too, and you're like, dude, I'm so out of it. Like, please just have my back. Like it's hysterical.
Yeah, it's like a form of delayed gratification in a weird way. It's like you worked all day, now you get to celebrate a little bit. And
well, they always know with me too. Like it's a funny joke with my manager Charlene. She's always like, listen, I know if you go out the night before, I can totally count on you being here in the morning. Like I never.
Yeah.
That's never. I'm always like, I'm ready to go, even if I'm like, all right, let's do it.
I think that's the best thing about service, like the service industry in general too, is like you get treated like I say this with a grain of salt because there are some other places that don't do this, but I feel like you get treated like more like a human being there, where it's like, yeah, we go out and drink and like we're all like we're still in our 20s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like you walk into office, you're like, I really gotta put my game face on right now. Like I hated that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like you said about having those good people around you, especially when you probably went through one of the worst times of your life, and you coming out of it more open is interesting, because I know a lot of people who go through shit like that and it just changes them sometimes in the worst way, where they become very introverted, and where it kind of switched, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also too, like, obviously we wanted to talk about your sexuality a little bit and just sexuality in general. And I know, so when did that happen? Like, when did you like come out and tell people like who you really were?
This is like literally my favorite thing to talk about, honestly. So I came out, I'll never forget it. I went to summer school freshman year because I was a dumbass, and I played around all freshman year. I didn't care. And I went down.
Shout out summer school. I was in there too.
North. I was actually still at North actually at the time. So went down to North every day, and I'll never forget it. I actually ended up going every day with one of my sister's best friends, Erin Kelly. We went to
Erin Kelly.
day. Love Erin Kelly.
Erin Kelly.
Shout out to her because she was great.
She worked at Chickies, right?
Yeah, we had a good time.
That's when I first met her.
And we would go down there every day and do our thing, whatever. And I'll never forget. Actually, I ended up seeing a guy who I totally will not name his name at all.
Do it.
We'll keep names out.
I'm kidding.
And I just remember being like struck. I was just like, oh my God, I've never felt like that before. I'll never forget it. I was coming home from summer school that day, and I called my sister, Chelsea, and it was really nice. So she worked at the dog grooming place down the street from our house at Wellington and Roland. And I called her. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I got like dogs here. Like, just come by. So I come in and I'm like, listen, I need to talk to you about something. Like, I think I'm gay.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was shitting bricks.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And I remember like my sister stopped. She shut her clippers off. She looked at me, and she was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, well, I think honestly what I said was first that I was bisexual, because that is such a comfort thing to say when you're coming out. Like, no. Like I still like girls.
Best of both worlds.
That is, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we'll touch on this later, but I think sometimes I have somewhat, I'm confused. I think I'm still confused. I don't know. I think I'm very fluid in the sense of like, it's the fear of the unknown, because I'm definitely like, obviously I'm a virgin when it comes to girls. I never had sex with a girl. I've had girlfriends, but it, obviously never got to that point. But yeah, I remember telling Chelsea, and that was great. And then I went home to Corinne, and Corinne's best. Corinne just was like, Corinne literally looked at me
Probably straight face, like, okay.
No, you're not. And then the ball just kind of rolled. I think the hardest part for me was telling. My stepmom was very easy. My dad's wife, Tara, who's been in my life from like day one, she was very easy in a sense of, she was just like, Michael, we know, like, it's okay. Like, we know, like, don't stress yourself out over it, whatever. I think the hardest part was telling my dad, who, and shout out to my dad. He's a great cop, but he's an even better father. And, he makes me laugh. 28 years on this planet, and my father still makes me laugh. And it is the best part of our relationship. I think he is just one of the funniest guys I ever met. And I'll never forget calling him, and I was so nervous, like I was sweating, whatever. And he was like, no, listen, like, you're my son. Like, what am I going to do? Tell you now?
That's
like,
amazing.
And telling my mom was fun too. My mom is very gushy. My mom will take any moment to be like, oh, that's
super sappy.
Yeah, like-
son. Like, and it's great though. I mean, she takes pride in having a gay son, and as do my dad and my stepmom and my siblings. They're all very. My little sister Morgan to this day will still tell you he's not gay. Like she tells how she is. Like
Yeah.
I don't believe it, but you know.
Do you,
everyone's very
That's
cool.
awesome to have them.
Do you think it brought your well, emphasize more so on your dad? Like, I know it's very tough for some people.
Yeah.
Do you think it brought you guys closer?
Yes, I feel like my dad will be the first person to say that my son is the toughest, because I have a brother too. I have my brother Danny, who is awesome. I love him. But you know, my dad was, you know, this is my son. My son's one of the toughest people I know to go through what he went through, and you know, to come out at the age that he came out. And I think in the Northeast, it's really, really hard to come out, be who you want to be, say what you want to say, own it. And you know, it took me a while to get there, but I you know, I got
That's
there.
amazing.
It's just so. We grew up in a very judgmental neighborhood.
Hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very hard.
But it makes you who you are, and it makes you even tougher.
Yeah, I thought about this a lot actually in terms of just like Northeast. I don't like to talk shit on the Northeast because at the end of the day, like it
That's
is what it is.
And that's where
it,
we're
it,
from.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. Like you either love it for what it is or you hate it.
Yeah.
You know, it's however you want to look at it, right? So for me, I'm like, it's tough because Northeast is a very hard place to be yourself. Like you'll see people, and that's why I like to have people on this podcast who just are unapologetically themselves, because you see that and you notice how. In your case, I didn't know you before you came out, but like in turn, I can only imagine now you're probably so much more free, you're so much more happy. And I noticed some people who've come out who are just so much happier than they used to be. What was the hardest part about it?
Honestly, I think high school, believe it or not. I mean, it was one of the main reasons why I didn't go to Judge. And when people ask me all the time, because like my whole family, Judge or die, Huberts or die. And listen, I'm so supportive of those schools. Those schools have raised some of the best people in my life. Yeah, Bambies all day.
Fuck that.
Go babies.
But I will say I chose Ryan because, and that was another thing with my dad that I thought was really interesting. He knew deep down he wanted me to go to Judge, and it was a conversation that we had in 8th grade, and it was, you know, listen, you're going to Judge, but my dad never, like, once my dad realized what it was, I think, like, my dad was like, I'm not going to, like, he did great things at Ryan. Like, you know, I went from going to summer school to, you know, moving myself up to first track in honor society and all that
it's
stuff.
awesome.
And you work hard at it. And, you know, my dad's, not even just my dad, like my parents, my stepmom included, like they were just happy that I chose that, because that's what I needed. You know, a Judge for me, I think honestly too, like going back, if I could try it, I probably would have. You know, just because
I feel like you've met people that have gone to Judge and stuff too that are friends from the Northeast and everything though too. Like I feel like, because I went to Ryan for 2 years and I went to Hubert's for 2 years, and I'm so thankful that I did that. But then again, I run into a lot of the Hubert's girls that are still friends with Ryan girls and stuff too. It's a small neighborhood. You get to know a lot of people. It could be a blessing and a curse. But I did want to circle back to your accident too. And I had a question. So when you went through that, you mentioned that you felt everything. Was there a moment where you're like, I might be paralyzed?
There was a moment when I got into, the only thing that scared me in regards to all that is there was a moment that I got into the back of the ambulance, and everything, once I was like rattling my aunt's number off, whatever he called her, everything started to go white. And I thought, all right, well, and I'm like,
This is it.
I'm like, all right, so this is it.
God,
So,
are you there?
I'm like, so what? Like, what? Like,
What is happening?
What's going on?
Famous
And
quote from
What?
Michael Tait. Just like, what?
Like,
I was
what?
honestly,
My legs are like pretzel knotted. Like, what?
horrible. But yeah, I think the fact that and then I just remember like everything going white, and then just waking up from surgery, and then my mom and my aunt and my best friend Kate Doyle, we've been best friends since
Katie Doyle.
Katie Doyle.
As in like Katie Doyle from Calvary.
Yeah, that's been my best. I went to Calvary 1st through 4th grade. I lived in Chalfont. I lived on Oak Hill and Waldemere, right on the corner, and we lived at the top of the street. And it's actually a great story. So her grandmom and my grandpop knew each other from back in the day, and they introduced us. And it's a funny story. We always talk about it. Like the first day I met her, I went and knocked on the front door to like hang out with her. My grandpa's like, go, like, you know, Dottie told you to come up and knock for her. I knocked on the door. She answered the door, and she looked at me and she said, oh my God, you. And then we never looked back. Like we've been best friends ever since.
Funny enough, I went to Calvary, and then I grew up on Templeton.
Okay.
And Kia Doy was my babysitter growing up.
She's great.
We were young as shit. Like I remember I was at her house. We'd be playing like this. I'd be playing The Sims on GameCube and shit. So I actually do want to hit on that accident because I know that is very traumatic for you, but also too, like, I am curious on how you recovered from that and just being in that like that whole process. Like, so when you were in the car, you said you saw white. Like, did you see anything else? Like, did you think, like, did your life like flash before your eyes? I'm very curious about that.
I necessarily wouldn't say that my life flashed before my eyes. I just think it was just adrenaline was pumping through my body. I was trying to focus on just, being okay, keeping myself going, making sure my sister was good. And other than that, like, no, really. I mean, I just feel like once I got into the back of the ambulance and things were just going so hazy, so white, that was pretty much it. I mean,
Did you know that your scalp was up?
No, I had no idea.
Wait, do you have pictures?
I feel like that's when I would freak out.
I do, but to be honest with you,
don't have to.
I don't really like to.
No,
I don't.
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Because like I said, it was just
Move forward.
So you were crashed at the Nifty's on Grant?
We just lost control and went off the road. Yeah, and went right down into an embankment.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I know exactly where that embankment is too, and it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've passed it before,
it's crazy
and I was like,
too,
oh.
because then like you have a bunch of people, like no one's like, people pulled over, people like got out of their cars, they were looking down. Like I just remember looking up at that somewhat overpass, and there was just like mad people standing there, and I was just like, oh my God, this must be bad. Because I didn't really know, like at the time, I'm just
Especially
like,
with your adrenaline pumping, you said. Yeah.
It was like, it was crazy.
Now, when you were actually in the hospital and like you said it was what, 32 days?
32 roughly.
So
yeah.
if you had 32 days and you were doing you had surgery, and then what did you have to do? The rehab?
So the rehabilitation was like a week after everything that happened.
That was a week.
Yeah, I was at Frankfurt, Jefferson Tarsdale now. I was there, for the surgeries and all that, and then they moved me down to the one near the terminal, the hospital down there. Frankfurt. I don't know. It's Jefferson Frankfurt now, I guess. And that's where they had like an inpatient rehabilitation center. Moss Rehab, I think, was in there at the time, and they were great. I mean,
how was your mental though in those days?
I felt safe because I was at a hospital. Honestly, I felt safe because my family was there and around, and I
just want to point out that you're stronger than you even think you are, and that I think you even know, because a lot of people slip into, like, kind of touching on what you said, very dark places like that.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I definitely have, and I think, to be honest with you, more so recently, I've been having a lot of issues. I go to therapy every Thursday with Deb. She's great. I'm very open. I'm one of those people that's very open about taking medication. I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's something that you should do when you feel as though you don't have any other option, I guess. Like, for me, I take Zoloft 50 milligrams every day. Love it. I don't care. It does the trick for me. And, don't get me wrong. There's over the last couple months, I think I personally have, been really going through it. Been going through it with a lot of relationships in my life, and a lot of people, kind of coming in and out of my life. And at my doing, I'll be honest, at my doing, there's a lot of things that I need to work on and fix in myself. And, it took me a while to realize that. And,
sometimes it doesn't. It comes to a point where a certain situation may have to happen for you to kind of like the light bulb goes off, and you're like, you know what? Now I have to admit to myself there are certain things that I want to change, and by being able to do that just says a lot in itself.
I mean, especially too, like, physically, like, I have a lot of issues with, body image is a huge thing, and it's something that I, as of recently, really struggle with. So much so that, like, I've been getting myself back into the gym every day, and honestly too, like, I started hanging out, Danny McBride, I love him. He started at Maggie's recently, and he really kind of, like, as a friend, like, I honestly, I fucking love that kid. Like, he's seriously, like, every day it's a pep talk. Every day it's, get in there, you can do it. And he's honestly, like,
those people are the best.
Like,
those
he really is.
People.
That is my guy. Like, he literally, like, mad love for him. He's like my little brother, and he, I just shout out to him because he's done more for me in the last 2 months of knowing him than, you know, I feel like I could have done for myself in a while. And I've been going to the gym every day and trying to eat better and do the right thing and
make a conscious effort.
Yes,
I do believe in that too. Like obviously they say, you know, water's thicker than blood, but or blood's thicker than water, you know, and that's saying, but it's like, I believe that there are people that can come into your life, like for example, like even Paige and Megan Cohen, and you know, people that have come in my life in this past year. It's like there's people I've known for years that wouldn't do what they have done for me,
right?
You know, and it's like it's all about, because we are at that point in our life where it's like, listen, like we're 25 and up, you know, we're in our 20s, like it's you know, life starts to get real and we start to go through real shit, and you do take into account like who is there for you and who does, you know, take your feelings into account, and it's little things like Dan, like helping you with your body image and then trying to help you and give you that confidence. But
it's all about continuing to push forward. Like, I can't tell you how many people, I mean, thankfully I have a huge circle too that have stuck around me through a lot, but I've had a lot of people in my life that I've considered best friends that I thought that I was going to go far along in life with that have completely bailed. And like, that's a very hurtful
bitter
feeling.
Pill to swallow.
It's a very bitter pill to swallow. And I think that it's a constant effort to kind of like forget that too when you come from a small neighborhood, because you constantly see or hear about other people and stuff too. And sometimes at the end of the day, you just got to wish them the best and be like, this is who I'm super empathetic and I hate leaving on bad terms with people. So sometimes it's hard, but to be able to like put yourself back in check the way that you have multiple times and be like, this is my conscious effort and this is what I want to do, keep it pushing. Like, then you have people that do come into your life. You're like, you know what? You actually filled that spot a lot better too.
I could sympathize with you because I've been hurting a lot of people recently too, just in terms of like, I say more like this, more so like with promises and plans. I fall through on some plans with certain people just because I'm just so focused on myself to where I'm just like, I give people 2 chances. Like, that's my thing. Like, 2 chances and that's it. Like, because I can't afford to feel stupid. I can't afford to waste my time and my energy and who I put that into. And I'm at a point where, like, I used to want to be friends with everybody, dude. Like, I remember at Temple, like in my Temple house, I would have like the whole fucking neighborhood over. I would wake up and have parties going on, like St. Patty's Day, like fucking 2019 or not 20. No, it was 2019. What am I talking about? Like 2017, 2018. I remember like I would wake up like hungover as balls, and I would have people in my house drinking that I didn't even know or invited. And it was just because my house became a place where I allowed people in, and
that's when you get walked all over.
And I was cool with that because I was like, listen, like, oh man, they all want to come here and hang out with me and be my friend. And the second I moved out of the house, where the 65% of those people go, they bounced. And people, you know, will use you and they'll use, you know, what you have, or, you know, the things you can offer them. Like, for example, for me, like every single weekend, people were new because a lot of them weren't 21 yet. I mean, I was 20, I was 19, and people will come to my house and they'll know because that's the place to go. And it's like, at that time, I thought they were my friends, and I thought it was, you know, I was like, oh yeah, you guys can just chill here, drink here, you know, trash my house, and you just make sure you guys stay over tonight and clean it up. And it's like you wake up the next day and your house is like shit, and then everyone leaves and you're in a dirty ass house by yourself. Your roommates fucking hate you, and you kind of realize like, dude, why did I just do that and give myself up like that? When, you know, so like I could sympathize with that because I'm just at a point in my life where I don't care.
Don't ever invite strangers into your house again.
The part is I did it. The crazy part is I didn't.
Rule number 1.
No, not strangers.
I'm
strangers, but like they're like friends of me, like friends of friends, and it's like, you know, I just learned, and I really
you get taken advantage of.
I don't have time for that shit, and you know, yeah. So I definitely, like I said, sympathize doing that and cherish my time and energy and just with who I have in it, and it's cool to have a small circle. Like, you know, you don't have to please everybody, you know, because at the end of the day,
well, that's my issue. I think I
people pleaser.
Well, not even that. Like, I always had groups of friends. Like, I've always had, like, I have my Maggie's group of friends, and then I have like my group of friends with like Katie Doyle, and then I have like my friends with like Ashley Gonzalez, Nicole Werner, like that whole group. Like, that's my heart. Like, that is my, like,
it's fine.
I can't even. But
it's good to separate them. It's just a matter of like having yourself spread out super, like, so thin to the point where you can't build any meaningful relationships to anyone because you're bailing on different people to be with, you're
Yes, that's what I was just
That's
going to hit
hard.
on too, because that's
It's hard.
what I struggle with the
hard.
most. But then, like, going back to what you said, like, you'll make promises with people and stuff like that. You'll make plans. I can't tell you, like, there's certain days too where, like, I have a little bit more time and I'm excited, or I'm like bopping around at a bar, or I'm talking to somebody else and I get a text message from another group and I'm like, oh, I'm making plans for next week. And then that week comes and it's like, I have a million things personally that I'm doing right now. You can't spread yourself thin. You're not going to be able to appease everybody if you're doing that alone. And the thing is then it causes chaos, not only in your groups of friends, but yourself, because you're like, I sit there and I have anxiety and then I'm like, I don't want to do anything.
It causes it for me 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I feel like a lot of the time now, like where I'm at, a lot of it is blowing up in my face. And, to all of my friends out there that might see this and watch this, like, I do love you all. Don't get it twisted. But, I just think right now I'm going through a point in time where it's like, I really gotta hone in on what I want around me. And, it's just something I'm really struggling with. Yeah.
Put yourself first.
Well, that's
always.
my thing though too. Like, and Jill will always say to me too, Jill's like, you explain yourself to people too much. Like you explain yourself, you get yourself caught up in these situations because you explain yourself. And like, I really never stopped to like think about that until recently. And I'm like,
I don't shut the fuck up.
I'm literally always just like, well, I'm sorry that I did this, but I did it because, and it's just like, I need to start just.
Do you have a friend, like any friends that will call you, like you just said Jill, like do you have any other friends that'll like call you out on that or anything? Because I have like a couple that I have in the back of my head that will literally like have sat me down before and like have told me to stop doing that.
Morgan Donahue as well, who I
Yeah.
love and adore. She is one of my dearest friends. Will be the first one to be like, you like.
What do you
she'll
think?
just give me the
What do you
look,
contribute that to? Like, do you contribute that
What?
to people pleasing?
What?
Like over explaining yourself and
Yeah.
stuff too?
Yeah, because I don't want people to. My thing is, growing up, I always wanted to be liked. I always wanted to be, the Mr. Popularity and prom king and all that, and that was always like my goal. Like I always wanted to be like.
But by wanting that, you inadvertently push yourself away
Oh
from
my God,
that, because
horrible.
by you trying to want more friends and over explain, it's like,
You're constantly thinking
where
about
the
that
fuck's
too.
the mystery at? Like, what is that? What do people have to learn about you?
Yeah.
When they can just hear it from one conversation that you tell them your whole life story. You know what I mean? I've been so I pages on this podcast. And I can but real shit though. Like I had that problem. I mean, I'll tell people like things I'm going through, things I'm feeling. People are like. It's just like, why am I telling this person that when they can A, go and tell it to somebody else, and B, not even really care or give me good advice. It's all about.
It's just I don't know. I grapple and I struggle and I go through it now, and I'm like, I don't know. I just really want to get to the point where I don't care. And I think like this summer, like I'm making it an honest goal this summer to just
Hot boy summer.
Yes. Now it's on audio. We're throwing it
It's
back.
so funny though, because like I say that to Dan all the time. I'm like, listen, this is my summer, hot boy summer for me. Like I'm blowing
We
up.
should set you up with Bran Flakes.
Yeah, Brand
You know
Flakes
Bran-
for sure.
Who is that?
Bran Flakes.
Bran Flakes, we had him on what
He was
a
on the
couple
pod.
months ago.
He was on
He's
the
a TikTok star.
He's a very nice man. He's a very nice
He's
man.
very nice.
Fuck the TikTok shit. He's a very nice
Yeah,
man.
he is a great human being.
There is someone that has my attention right now, and I, hopefully it goes well, and I'm hoping, I'm praying, but I think that's where I'm at right now too. Like I really just want to find a person, whether it be, let's be real. I can say that I'm interested in women and like all that, but
It's all bullshit.
I think to be honest with you, I think it's the fear of the unknown for me. Well, the curiosity of the unknown, but I know I'm going to marry a guy. That's just, I'm going to have babies with a guy, and I'm going to do the whole thing, and it'll be great.
Well, you
Absolutely.
already took that leap though by coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the first step. Now it's just a matter of making yourself happy, because at the end of the day, what can they use against you? You already told the whole world. You know what I mean? Like fuck that.
It is what it is.
You know what I mean?
And to think that was 12 summers ago that I did that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, I wanted to plug in here too. Make sure that you are focusing on yourself, because coming from somebody that also has multiple groups of people, loves to over explain herself, doesn't like when people are mad at her, and like has had serious relationship issues, it is so easy to get bored and not focus on yourself anymore.
Oh, 100%.
It's so
absolutely.
easy. I come from a family of chaos. I have so many people around me. Like I live in chaos.
Yeah.
So
I
like
thrive in it.
yes, like I need to take 12 steps back. Thank God for Kev. I always say this. Kev grounds me so much. And if it wasn't for him and like the stuff that we get into, like I think that I would slip back into bad patterns and not be holding myself as accountable. But that's a huge, huge thing. Especially with the friend groups.
Listen, I'm very laid back and I like to watch things. I'm an observer, so I don't really say much sometimes. But when I want to get on your ass, I'll get on your ass. When there's something that bothers me or affects me, like I'll get on your ass about it. And it's just I've learned that from people who've done that to me. They've told me the things that they don't like or whatever. Like I always say it to Meg, like she'll always tell me like what if I do something, I fuck up, whatever. She'll tell me. So I'm at a point where listen, especially if you are someone who is so intertwined in my life, like I want you to be the best version of yourself, not just for for me or for whatever, but for yourself. You know, because I see Paige, like she's one of the nicest girls in the world. She's very good at talking to people, very good at building. We love Paige. We love Paige. Yeah. Building. She's very good at building relationships. And that's what she needs to focus on. And you don't gotta stress yourself out over that shit. And it's all gonna come because I am a true believer now that you attract the energy you put out. Before I was looking for that. I'm like, oh, who can I find that's like me? I'm like, fuck that. I'm just gonna do what I want to do, be myself. And any dick riders or whoever.
So true too. Like I used to stress so much about like relationships that like I believe that I could have done better in, like, and I mean like with everybody.
Right.
And when I let my guard down and I finally wasn't chasing after that and being like a manic psycho bitch trying to fix it and put it back, almost like I can say with certainty 99.9% of that has come back to me in some form. Where like I've either like had a conversation, ran into somebody at the bar last Sunday and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck was that about? And like got validation on something that I hadn't had in like 7 years. And I was just like, oh, whoa.
It's a freeing thing, honestly.
It's so freeing, but it happens in like a very, I would say, authentic way instead of you forcing things to happen. Like, let your guard down. And what you're doing is just causing yourself stress at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets?
I always say this, and to quote my favorite Big Brother player, because if anyone knows Mike Tait, they know that he's obsessed with Big Brother. I've auditioned 5 times. No regrets. No regrets. Only choices. Because at the end of the day, I can sit here and say, I made my own. So
I love that. I actually love that.
Can you repeat
so
that?
much.
Repeat that for me.
no regrets, only choices. Because at the end of the day, I could sit here and say I made my own. And I will never. I'm one of those people. If I mess up, if I fuck up, if I do something that like I have no problem admitting it. I'm not.
Oh, same.
I have no problem. Like, yeah. Or if I get caught up in something and I'm like, listen, like my bad.
In the moment, sometimes it's hard because I don't think that I fucked up.
I don't want to be embarrassed. But then it's like ultimately I do it
sit on things.
But if I do it to myself, I'm like ultimately I look at myself and I'm like, dude, Michael, come on, like shut up. My biggest issue in my life, and everyone knows it, like I have the gift of gab. I run my mouth, and I do, and it's one thing that I've truly have tried to take a step back and work on and listen more and not, and not even in the sense of running my mouth, like, not always negatively, but, not listening to people, because I'm always looking for people to just listen and hear what I have to say. And it's like, no, maybe I need to shut the fuck up and listen. Like maybe I need to take a step back and be like, you know what?
You learn a lot when you do.
It's good you acknowledge that. I've been trying to practice that. Just being the last one to speak. It's a good quality to have. Yeah. And for you to acknowledge that you may have made some mistakes and may have, said some things, hurt some people. Like that's the first process of growing and healing. And also in a weird way, maybe a process for them. They may still have a grudge or whoever you hurt, but at the end of the day, as long as you know it, it won't affect the people that are in your life in the future.
Right. And like that's to actually piggyback on that, like to those that I may have hurt, to those whose friendships I've lost or they have ended, like my biggest problem is too, and I'm learning it, is I have to give those people time. I have to give those people time to, I might be there necessarily,
but they won't.
But I think there's a situation in my head that I'm thinking of specifically, and I know down the road, like, that situation, that person and I, hopefully one day will get better. But it's important, and I've been learning it. I have to give not only that person, but situations like that, I have I got to give them time. I have to give
For
them
sure.
time.
For sure.
Not everyone heals the way
I think
that
I needed
do.
to hear that. Okay.
I mean, I need to hear it too, but I mean, I've caused some irreversible damage to some people, and I know, people who are close to me know exactly who they are, and it wasn't completely my fault, and I acted out of anger in that situation, and I did it out of spite and just pure anger, and just didn't think about anyone else but myself and what was going to make me feel better, was going to make me, but it ended up making me feel 10 times worse,
right?
Because it's something that I still think about every day, and something I try to think about and wish I could take back, because it did ruin a lot of things for people permanently. And but at the same time, I know it wasn't completely my fault, but I do regret doing that. And
I think that also goes hand in hand with also touching on being able to take a step back and listen and be patient with people and give people time.
Yeah.
Because by doing so, and not like I said, like one of my main issues is I try and go back and fix things, but sometimes there is irreversible damage that you just need to take a step back on and be like, I need to learn and grow from this myself as well. Not sit here and be like, oh, I want this person to reach out to me. Like, I want to have a conversation. Like, no, actually, you don't need to. Like, you need to not right now.
Yeah.
Be patient and grow as individuals,
Yeah.
and then be able to have a mature conversation. And maybe that's even 10 years down the line, you run into a bar and you're like, I'm really happy that you're happy,
Right.
and I miss what we like.
Oh, that makes me. It makes me it gets me it hits me. Like when you say it like that, Paige, it really does. It's like I don't ever want it to get to that point, and not even with a certain person in specific, but I would just never want it to get to that point where you have that. You look at you glance at each other from across the bar and you smile. That to me just that would kill me.
It does, and it becomes very human to where you sit and think about it at the end of the day, and you're like, wow, I really just hurt another person. Like, what you don't imagine.
I
what
hurt somebody
feeling.
really bad, and I did some crazy stuff, and I ran into this person at a bar, and we made eye contact, and it was like I never knew him before.
It's like,
and it's a crushing feeling, because at the end of the day, regardless of any relationship that you're in, it's still a human being that you shared memories with, and that's the shittiest part of it. But again, I think it comes with time, and if that conversation that you're thinking about or something does not ever happen, you have to at least be able to detach from that and be like, I wish you the best.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's very important. Detaching. I've learned that a lot this year too. Just learning that it happened, it is what it is, and the people that you were close with, you're not close with anymore, and you move on from it.
Somebody's going to run through this podcast and be like, I need to find out names in this situation.
You'll never figure out. You'll never figure mine out.
Drop breadcrumbs.
Nah, so you talk about not having
It's
regrets.
important,
But I guess I can ask too, what was besides? I mean, I guess what?
I regret drinking coffee with a white sweater.
You're a fucking idiot.
God.
Paige does something dumb once an episode. No, I'm kidding. All right, so I wanted to ask. So, I guess we can use the accent, but what was the darkest time mentally in your life that you specifically remember? I am not in a great place.
About a month ago. But
that was the darkest in a while, I guess.
Yeah, in a while. Within the last year, it's probably been the craziest, because I think my issue right now too is alcohol. I wouldn't say that I have a problem. I do. When I'm messed up, I have a problem, and I'm a very emotional person when I drink sometimes, and you either love it or you hate it. And I'm very lovey when I drink. I'm telling you that I love you. I'm telling you you're my best friend. I'm kissing you on the cheek. I'm telling you you're the best, and we're blowing up and we're doing shots, and then the next morning I wake up and I fucking hate myself.
Anxiety.
I wake up unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I think that gets worse as you get older.
Horrible. And especially when I'm on medicine too, because I try not to take it so far drinking with my medicine, and I think within the last month or so I have, if I'm being completely honest, and now I know what my body and what I'm capable of being on medicine and being drunk out. every weekend.
Right.
And I did want to say this though too, when it comes to the whole drinking, I'm at a point in my life where all of my best friends, my very close people in my life, are buying houses and they're having babies and they're getting married and they're getting engaged. And while I'm so happy and so grateful to be there for all of it and enjoy it and have fun, I have this empty void inside of me that I'm filling right now and I'm coping with. And it's something that I really like want to even convey to like all the people in my life, all my friends, all my family. Like, what I'm going through right now is nothing to be worried about. I'm trying to figure shit out. And
I think that's really important to say, because I think that way more people than we even know are going through that as well. And I say that because I openly talk about that myself with certain situations. I'll call Kev about certain situations. There is a lot of people that are going through that as well, because we are in a very strange transition in our life. And while the world's kind of still, we're opening back up and things are now like whatever's
not
happening.
This fucking mask mandate bullshit,
that's
but whatever.
that's coming around again too. But like,
so annoying.
There's just, we're like the first generation that is our age going through this time during that weird transitional stage too. And it's uncomfortable, but I think it's so important that you can even actively admit that and say like, I do feel as if I'm filling that void and I'm making it a point to tell you, but I'm also not going to be like, I can't just turn around and then on Monday morning I'm like, I'm actually into fitness now. I'm dropping off everything. I'm not drinking anymore. Like, you don't just do that. Like, you actively have to come to terms with it and then slowly transition into stages of changing.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times I was like, I'm going to change and this is exactly what I'm doing and blah, 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 and this, that, and the third. And that lasts a fucking week, maybe.
Yeah.
You have to focus on one thing.
And everyone, like, I always say this too, like, just because you're 28 and there's people around you buying houses, getting married, having kids, doesn't mean they're happy. Doesn't mean they're any happier than you are. And everyone has their own time. Everybody has, you know what I mean? Like, why rush? Like, there's no rush. You know what I mean? You're 28. You got so much time. And obviously, we talk about, time is precious and is valuable, and the people you have in your life, you want to tell them you love them and all that. But at the same time, though, we are young and we do have time.
And look at how far you've come.
I know that's another thing too.
You've gone through a lot of things that many people have not.
I try to I try to, in a sense, and not too much, but I try to pat myself on the back every now and then and just be like, listen, like, it could be far worse. It could be far worse.
At the end of the day, though, like, who is going to? No one else is going to tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We can sit here till we're blue in the face saying how proud of you are.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, do you, like, that's not...
You have to believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where it starts, because then when you believe it, we believe it.
Right.
And that's, that goes
And
with
that goes
anything,
back to attracting, like, exactly what you do want. Because I just think that, especially, like, I need to hear this sometimes, and I have to talk to myself, like, and just be like, listen, stop beating yourself up so much, because then that's delaying the gratification and the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I just I need to be kinder to myself, and I need to take more pride in myself, because I think, especially, kind of coming back to the whole, like, being a gay guy, like, I honestly feel like I fucking suck at it. Like, I see a lot of people that, like, I went to high school with, and a lot of people from the Northeast who have come out later on in life, like in our, early 20s, mid 20s, and they have these amazing, like, fun weekends down in the city, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and, groups of gays. I never really had a group of gay guys, and that's at my doing. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some saint. Like, I've done my fair share of, shit, and pissed a lot of gay guys off, and I
a little toxic.
Little toxic, but it's always
We're
something.
all toxic.
It was something I always longed for. I always really longed for a group of gay guys to be around, and but I also feel like, and this is just my personal preference, like, I just vibe better with straight men. I just do. I feel like it's just it's a comfortability thing where I come from, and the guys I grew up with in grade school and in high school, and the guys that I have in my life now, like that I'm friends with, like, I don't know.
You also have to realize, touching on what you said earlier, like, you never thought that you would kind of venture away from your sisters. And
Yeah.
you had that moment where you were like, okay, I'm becoming a lot more extroverted. I've now have my Maggie's friends.
Right.
Like you said, you might have longed for that, but keep that in the back of your head and just know that that's a value of yours. That's something that you want to
100%,
do, and then continue to work on yourself, and that will come.
What are 3 things you like about yourself?
3 things I like about myself. I like that when I love hard. I think that's important. And God.
Let me ask you this real quick before you hit on those 2. Do you think loving hard is a good quality to have? And if so, why?
Yes and no.
And I'll ask both
It's
of
a
you that.
slippery slope.
Yeah. Because the people that you want to love hard may not always want that love to be in that volume like that. They don't.
Yep.
They can't be accepting of it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you
That could be a time thing too.
Uh-huh.
They might have more lessons that they need to learn. And looking back, they might say, holy shit, I fumbled the bag on that.
Yeah.
yeah, when it's too late. And something I learned is that, when you love too hard, it inadvertently makes them want it less. And this is not even relationships I'm talking about. This people.
This people in general.
People.
So true.
It's people.
So
Like,
true.
It is, because then they think, oh shit, I have that. I have
Yeah.
that love in my pocket.
Yeah.
And then
Some people can be too self-centered too, and this is relationships in general, that they're so caught up. Like, I'm specifically thinking of my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I love too hard, but I genuinely know that they don't even recognize half of it. And I think it's a selfish thing, and I think that they're so caught up in like what they need to do and kind of them being the main character of the story, where it's like I don't even think that they realize it. And when certain things do happen, this is kind of venturing into other people as well, they don't realize it until it's gone.
Right.
and that's their fault.
And then it's too
Yeah.
late.
It's their fault though, and that's.
But then you can tend to beat yourself up about
Yeah.
it too.
You can't. That's what growth is. That's what It's always about adapting and learning. Learning about who you are and learning who you need to be around. It may be too late for some people, but doesn't mean you need to backtrack, because you ended up you stopped giving that and or wanting to receive that love for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm a very big like everything happens for a reason type person. Maybe because I haven't had something super super tragic, knock on wood, happen to me.
Yeah.
Because I understand people's you say to somebody who lost their brother or their mom or their friend or their, I've been lucky enough to, I've lost a grandparent, but I've been lucky enough to not have that happen to me. Like I said, knock on wood, but they may think differently, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
I do think things happen for a reason, and you learn from everything you've gone through, and they're all,
And the people that are supposed to be in your life will end up in your life regardless.
yeah, people are in life for reasons and seasons, it all depends. But there are 2 more things you like about yourself.
2 more things. Oh God.
I can name 10.
Oh, this is hard.
Not about myself.
All right, no,
Not about myself.
All right, Paige. No, you name 3 things you like about yourself.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Me,
It's a little therapy session on the loft
God.
today.
my resilience, my adaptability, and my empathy.
Mm.
I would say
Okay.
Oh, you're an empath.
very big empath.
Love that. We love that.
Very, very big empath.
Yeah.
All right, fine. So I guess my ability to love hard, my ability as an underdog. And when I say that,
Ooh, I love that.
I'm one of those people that sometimes I might be down, but don't count me out. I might surprise you. And then I would probably say
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
well, that's like my whole thing too. Like with wanting to do like, I've auditioned for Big Brother like 5 times.
Keep doing it.
I want to do Survivor. Like those 2 are like my favorite. I would love to do it. And I always love like that whole like storyline on those shows of like the one person that's literally like on the bottom every week, and then they make it to like the final 2 and they end up winning.
Person not meant to be there.
Yeah.
That's the one you got to worry about the most.
Oh,
though.
always.
My groups always, every one of my friend groups say that too. They're like, you are always the underdog,
I
and
love it.
you somehow always prove everybody wrong.
I love it.
It's the best feeling.
It is the best feeling.
Keep
too.
going.
Yep.
I'm all for this.
Love it. And then how many did I name? 2?
You name 2.
God.
I want you to now, after this episode, go home and write I am statements.
No, I should. I really should. I probably would say, God, probably my vast amount of useless knowledge, like just random
I like
things.
That's a talent.
That is talent.
I also too, believe it or not, when I talk about talents, memorizing everyone's phone number. Everyone's phone number.
Really?
Get the fuck out of here.
Everyone's phone number.
I can't remember people's names, let alone phone number.
Yeah,
Everyone's
right?
phone number, because
That's impressive.
every time I go to text someone, and like obviously with having an iPhone, you go to type in a name, the number comes up under their name. So like I just have like this photographic sense of just being like, okay, I know your number by heart now. Like
Wait, that's pretty impressive.
That's wild. You're smart as shit.
Yeah,
it's
right?
very like it's one
That
of those
is
like
wild.
random like useless things.
Did
and
you know? Did you know this is this is completely off topic, but there is an actual like contest where like it's about memorizing numbers. Like it's like an actual like people compete.
I would fuck that up.
Like people genuinely
Literally.
compete. They give you like 2 minutes. They put a clock on. They give you a piece of paper, and then they're like, in those 2 minutes, you have to say the numbers.
Love that.
Does that help when you're serving?
I will say this though. Sometimes, like, if you ask certain people, ask Jill Fury when Mike Tait gets weeded, how I am. But I will say that I'm very efficient in the sense that I don't mess up. I don't like I'm not making an error in the computer. Everyone messes up. Everyone makes mistakes, and I definitely make mistakes. But that's one thing I will say is I try to be as efficient as possible with just like. Time management was always my biggest thing. And then when we opened up after COVID and we had out front, that's where time management really came into play, because you get sat, and it's like, all right, go.
Yeah.
And it's all about, time management. That's one thing I feel like I've gotten a lot better on this. It's time management.
That's a very good quality.
I was so bad at time management, like in every aspect of my life. And then, that's another thing that goes along the lines of damn, man, I owe a lot of shit to that building. Like that,
It's good.
it's been almost 3.5 years of being there. And it's just,
You love it. And
I love it.
Feels
Like
like
everyone knew. Everyone's always like, Michael's the biggest Maggie's head ever. And I'm like, I love it. It's
Yeah, but
my
it's
spot.
taught you a lot, and like
Oh
you
my God,
said,
so
like you
much.
found your sense of self there. Like those are things that just stick with you.
And I just feel like when you have people in charge, like Charlene Dill, I can't say it enough. Like we break each other's balls, but there's nothing under the sun I wouldn't do for her. And Jay Murphy, he's been great getting to know him now that he's back, and Timmy and Kelly. I mean, listen, like I love them. They took over the spot, and then COVID hit, and they do the best. Like I love them. Like they really do. They have something good going for them, and I can't say it enough. I love to be a part of it. I really do.
Yeah.
We should do a live episode at Maggie's.
Yeah, we
Oh my God,
should. We
that
should do a live
would
episode at
be-
Maggie's.
That would be so great.
We could totally do
Like that would
that.
be pretty cool.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you too, like, who do you think, who are I guess, who's the most influential person in your life?
I actually, as of right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have 3. Is that okay?
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you
Yeah.
3, but I wanted to keep it.
I have 3. My grandmother Francine, first and foremost, she kept my grandfather going through so much, so much sickness and his cancer up until when he passed right before COVID. My grandmother is definitely the most influential person in my life, because she is tough. She's a tough Italian grandmother. It's just it's her way or the highway, and I'm all for it. The older I get, the more I understand there's a method to her madness. She's one of the best doctors I know, but an even better grandmother. I always say it. Obviously my mom. I put my mom in a different category though. I put my mom in. She's everything. She's everything. She is everything. She's my being. She's my world, and
She's done a lot for you.
she's just on it. I love both my parents, even though that they were, I never knew my parents being together. I love my parents for very different reasons, and I also love them for the same. And I kind of label my dad and my mom in that, but every boy I feel like loves their mom in a different sense, and every girl loves their dad in a different sense. And
I think that's a good like subject too, because I believe in that as well.
100%.
yeah.
100%. Like I am definitely a mommy's boy. Always have been. Influential people. I can't drive it home enough. I will say, and she's probably going to kill me, but you meet people in your life and you kind of don't realize where what was your life before that person, and you don't understand, you know, what it's almost like you were missing a part of yourself until you met this person. And Jillian Fury just I she's gonna kill me, but she showed me how to be a man in a sense. Like, she showed me to cut the shit. She taught me to, you know, grab your balls and go out there and do what you need to do, and cut, you know, no time for the dramatics. And there is a time and place for that, but you know, she's influenced me and inspired me in ways that I don't think I'll ever be able to show her or tell her. And this is like a sober me saying this, because every time I'm like, I love you, you're the best. But she
those people are the best.
The only word I can really say to describe Jill Fury is just remarkable, literally. And I feel the same way too about, you know, and Lauren Fury too, like, well, now Sierra Lante. You know, I love that family, and they've there's no words to describe them. But it's back awesome. Onto the, you know, the most influential people in my life. My grandfather, who passed right before COVID. I mean, all the shit that I'm going through right now, it pains me to not be able to pick up the phone and just be like, I need to come down for the weekend and shut my phone off, and let's go out to eat, and let's just, me, you, and Grandma, just bop around South Jersey farmland and do our thing. And it sucks. I mean, I think, you know, him passing Valentine's Day of right before COVID, and then COVID hit, like, it was a lot. And my poor mom, like, she went through so much shit. I mean, she helped my grandma take care of him up until his very last breath. And you know, it's hard. It is so hard.
Very hard.
Grandparents are the fucking glue, man.
Yeah,
they were.
Really.
My grandparents raised me, and I lost them back to back too. And I can't tell you enough how, like, I thought I was grieving it, but it comes in waves.
Yeah.
And then especially to watch other family members try and grieve somebody that you care about as well, it's a very, very hard process. And it's, thank God for therapy.
And we had a lot of, you know, it's sad too, because my relationship changed with my grandma, I think, drastically after my grandpa passed. I didn't grieve the way that my mom and my grandmom and my sister did, because I also do have my mom has a daughter too, Gianna, so I do have another sister we lived together. I was raised with Gianna. I was raised with my other siblings too, but you know, I lived at home with my mom and Gianna, and you know, I didn't necessarily grieve. I went back to work right away. You know, I was out doing my thing again, coping, drinking, having fun, blowing up, doing my thing. And, you know, my mom, my sister, my grandma kind of became like a little thing. And plus, after he died, I mean, it was COVID. My sister stayed in quarantine down there with my grandma the whole time. And I was living with my aunt at the time, so her and I were home. And my mom and her boyfriend, Kevin, who, another person that's very, very great and dear to my heart, Kevin, he loves my mother like I've never seen, and that's a beautiful thing to watch. And I really respect and appreciate him for that. But yeah, they grieved a different way than I did. And
I agree with that too. Like, I grieved completely different, and I really thought that, like, I almost threw myself into more after it. And I was just like, I need to detach, like, everything that's going on right now, or I will lose it, which ultimately led me to losing it.
It's natural though. You have to grieve. You have to understand what's hurting you and how you can move on from it. You may not move on from it.
That's how you learn too. Like,
for sure.
I took the hard route.
But to be honest, I mean, that is a really good question though, Kev. I have to say, like, I never really sat here and really thought about the people that really influenced me much in my life. And, you know, and my older sister too. One last person I want to throw in there, like my older sister, Chelsea, like, I'm not even gonna really dive deep into that because I'll get emotional, but my big sister is the definition of a big sister. I mean, she plays every role. She always takes care of all of us siblings, and, you know, she just fills that spot of an older sister. And, you know, I appreciate her so much. Like, she has no idea. Like, you know, and right now we're going through like a little thing where, like, you know, she's kind of on doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. And, you know, we recently actually just talked about it. Like, it's been kind of great. You know, we're giving each other a little bit of space, and she's doing her thing, I'm doing my
After
thing.
all these
and,
years,
and
it's about time.
It really, it makes me respect and love her so much more, and she's again an amazing sister, and she's an even better mother.
I challenge you to sit with yourself and really think about the influential people around you too, because you have so many large groups that you're going to realize too that they all play a certain role in exactly who you are and what makes you special.
Yeah.
And to be able to reflect on that, like you said, even sober, like it's so easy when you run into those people and like you kind of just catch them at a glimpse and you're just like, oh, I fucking love you. But when you really sit down and realize why they're influential and what part they play, you can dive even deeper into that. And it's very, very rewarding.
Yeah, I say this all the time, but show me your friends, I'll show you your future, right?
Yep.
It's just whoever is in your life. It's so important, especially at this age where we're figuring out who we are and we're getting our lives together. You want to keep those people around you.
And ask yourself what role they play.
Yeah, for sure.
I also think like right now too, like where I am in life, like I feel like I'm slowly coming in on like what's going to be my 30s. And, December I'll be 29, and then it's like, all right, like I'm really not trying to be that person in my 30s that's just like going through what I'm going through now. Like, well, we're not friends anymore. Well, oh, how are you and so and so? And I'm like, yeah, we don't talk anymore. And it's like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's also very normal.
Well, I'll say this though. Your life can change in 6 months, like drastically.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. You don't know what's going to happen in the next year. You could be 30 and then you find a boyfriend you get engaged to when you're 30. That's 2 years away. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you need to worry about the future and rush that, because you never know.
You'll miss a lot of precious moments.
And you'll miss what you have right now.
Yeah.
If you're worried about your 30s, you'll miss what you have when you're 28 and you're 29. Like before you're 30. So just remember that. And one last thing. So I wanted to ask. So I want to hit on this too. I know. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know who struggles with this, but if people do struggle with this, who watch and listen, like for someone who was trying to figure out who they were sexually, what's a piece of advice you'll give to somebody who is in the closet and figuring it out and just trying to really find their way and who's nervous and scared?
As cliche as it might sound, it gets better. And I say that in the sense of, oh God, because I really look back at like my 15-year-old self and I'm kind of just like, God, if only I knew then what I know now. But I will say this, all right, because I feel like I'm like all over.
No.
I would probably say to always, always, always be safe. Be safe in the sense of protect yourself. Be careful with who you experience things with and what you do, and just always protect yourself. Seriously, always do that, because just protect yourself. It's very important, and it's not even necessarily. And I don't even mean like wear a condom. I'm saying like protect yourself, protect your heart, and protect. And when you come out, make sure you be careful about who your support system is.
I mean, that goes for anybody.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
but like, I made the fatal mistake, when you're in high school and you trust certain people with certain things, and then, then they're going
people
down.
Get to talking, people come back and hurt you.
Then they're going down the hallway, calling you and screaming, you're a faggot. And I'm like, all right, like now I'm a faggot. Okay. Like, that's fine. Is that your only call? Like, okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, listen, man, this was a great episode.
This was awesome.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on.
I know. See, you killed it. You're like
very therapeutic.
You
yes.
did so,
and you have us. You have us.
I feel like I just went on Kairos, honestly.
This spiritual awakening, right? No, but we try to do that in the loft, switch it up. And this was a good therapy session. I think even for me, and just to even give like a little bit of self-reflection. I know we talked mainly about you and your story and your life, but
we always walk away and I'm like, I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot about myself too, because I learned from experiences and what people go through, and and you can take that for your own. And people who listen and watch, thank you guys for watching and listening. It's, we're growing. The family's growing, so I'm excited, and
I love it.
I just want more and more people to be able to encourage the conversation. You know what I mean? Be able to talk about it and be able to open up, and you know what I mean, just in the best way possible. And like I said, I'm just so thankful that you came on, and I know
I'm grateful to be here. And I honestly want to piggyback all that and say, for what you're doing. It's great, and keep doing it. Period.
Thanks.
Like that's it. Like, that's all.
We love you.
There's a lot more coming. There's a lot more coming. Don't worry. So we're excited for what's to come, and we're excited for what is to come for you. And
I know.
I'll be looking forward to seeing you on Sunday at Patty's.
Yeah, right.
I'll be there.
But ladies and gentlemen, this is an episode of The Loft. Once again, I'm Kevin Nichols, Paige Pullman. It's Michael Tait.
Michael Tait.
Tait.
Listen, Mike Tate's my dad. I'm Michael.
Michael Tait. And thank you guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you guys.
Keep encouraging the conversation.
Peace.
Keep talking. Don't be afraid to talk about your problems, shit you're going through, whatever. Find your friends. Find a good support system.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks
too.
for watching, and peace.